was good, y'all? Another one. We here. Um, this time of year, oh man, because America is some cheap ass motherfucking devil motherfuckers that they are cheap. So all the fruits and vegetables that grow on the motherfucking crops, they sell that shit. So all the trees and all that shit out there are just male fucking trees nutting pollen in your face all fucking day. And it's just like, damn. You got the allergies and shit, attacking nature. Like, damn, why is nature? Nature does not do this, okay? This is people that cultivated this fucking bullshit, alright? So don't put your energy towards some shit that doesn't even exist, alright? It's these motherfuckers, alright? And they still fucking with all types of shit, like HARP and weather control, all types of shit. That's not really what this is about. In this video, I want to get into, the crystal cities that existed and still do exist in some places. Okay, so the crystal cities. The crystal cities existed as some of the first civilizations that, when they landed, they created. Okay, it was part of the grid system, the whole grid system. All right, so a lot of these pyramids and structures now are actually built over these things. Okay, and some of them aren't. Okay, and the ones that aren't are the deserts. Okay, because in the Babylonian texts, in the tablets, it talks about how during the pyramid wars, right, they destroyed the crystal cities, and then the crystal cities became the deserts, the Sahara Desert, right? But there wasn't just wars there, and that's the result of all around the world, all the deserts now. That's the result, was these wars that were going on. Okay, and one sign of that is obviously sand is crystal. Okay, so many people don't know sand is quartz crystals. Okay, so those crystals came from the structures that were there before. Okay, and under the deserts are cities. Okay, so most deserts, under the deserts are cities. Okay, and there are some exceptions, right? Like the desert in Puerto Rico, there's no city under there because there wasn't really like big cities in Puerto Rico, right? So there was that crystal city, and then there was like nothing under that. Okay, so there's some places that is not exactly that, but most deserts, you got the big ones like the Sahara and shit. Those have cities under them. Okay, and they were crystal cities at one point in time. Okay, so what did the crystal cities do for us? Okay, for us it enhanced our spiritual abilities that we already have. Okay, so the ones who are telepathic, the ones who fuck with their kinesis and all that shit, the different areas, okay? The ones who fuck with all their clairs, right? The clairvoyant, the claircognizant, all that shit. Okay, the people who could remote view and astral project, all these things were enhanced because of these crystal structures and shit. And some of the reasons why they destroyed the first populations of beings was because we were spiritually in tune. So that's the shit they're talking about with Atlantis and Lemuria and all that shit, okay? And all of that, comes from Black Rock, okay? Hyperborea, right? That shit, okay? That's where the Titans were. That's where the mountain that the Titans was on. That's the mountain they're talking about, okay? And that shit ties in to the Hollow Earth too, and Thule and all that shit, and Asgard and all that shit, what they're talking about, okay? Because even Admiral Byrd, right, he talked about the crystal cities, all right? He's going into Antarctica. So not only in Antarctica did he talk about that shit, he talked about that shit in the North Pole, okay? So there's different entrances into the Hollow Earth, okay? And in the Hollow Earth are crystal cities, okay? And these beings are way more advanced than us, okay? And they don't usually interfere with our shit, all right? And they watch us, like, the most shit watches someone because you're not fucking, it's like cameras, you got that shit rolling, and then they'll go back to the recordings later if it's something important, and not like just have like They don't have someone there watching all the motherfucking screens and shit. You don't have enough people, enough time for all that shit. That's how they track us now too. It's like recordings. Okay, so they're not like watching you, but yeah, they're recording everything, you know. So if you act up, they just go back to the tapes, see what's going on. Right. So Admiral Byrd talked about fucking seeing these things, and that's in Operation High Jump, right? And all these other things where he took other Navy teams and he fucking seen shit, all right, all around this earth that they like keeping secret because of, you know, dew lines and motherfucking treaties that you can't go past certain parallels and shit like that. And there's places that are no fly zones and all that shit. And a lot of that shit has to do with hidden lands, okay? Fucking hidden technologies, and no fly zones have to do with those things, but they also have to do with UFOs that are cloaked, right, in the sky, and they don't want people who are pilots hitting those fucking UFOs and shit, okay? And some of them fucking cloak themselves as clouds and other shit, but some of them have full polarized light fucking cloaking, okay? And that technology is so light that that's how they fucking watch you too, like Worker, Starseed, if you didn't know, if you ever felt watched and shit, okay? They told you that shit in Harry Potter, okay? The fucking invisibility cloak, alright? Polarized light, okay? They been had that shit. That's how they watch you, okay? That's a whole nother story, alright, y'all? They got crazy technology, okay? It's not just frequency manipulation, okay? It's just light, you know, which is frequency, but they don't need, you know, they don't need no technology. It's just fucking polarized light, boom, right? Fucking bounces the frequencies. You won't even see that shit, okay? So, these crystal cities, they enhanced our fucking technology, which is our suits. So when they talking about the 12-strand DNAs and they talking about all this shit, okay, at one point we were our highest evolution per se, okay, and then they lowered it down over time, okay, and they were creating other shit too. So when they talk about Bigfoots, and they talk about little people, okay, we talking about other breeds of humans that they're finding now and shit like that, okay, that shit was already fucking, because they have cloning facilities and then they were mating, right? And that's just here on the surface. They were doing that shit too. So the Nomos, which were the ones which are basically the Anunnakis who run the sea, and you got the Anunnakis who run the land and shit, okay? And the ones who run the land, they fuck with Antarctica more than Babylon, but Babylon got the stories right now that people with the fucking translations and shit, we could do that shit. But when fucking all the ice melts in Antarctica, y'all gonna see some new shit coming out with some new histories and shit like that, okay? Because it's really from over there, okay? And most of the history's over there because that's where the volcano is that erupts monatomic gold, which is what the fuck they were looking for anyway, okay? So that's where they set camp over there, and that's why there's pyramids over there in Antarctica. That's why there's that tunnel, right? The deep underground military bases, okay? The entrance of the fucking hollow earth, and the lands with fucking Bird and all these gravitational anomalies, which are just the fucking hollow earth and different cavities and shit that are affecting the magnetism, okay? Because gravity is just an ether perturbation and shit, okay? And when you start fucking with the shit in different ways, it creates different fields and different anomalies, okay? So, back to that subject. Crystal cities. Okay, there's been archaeologists, there's been scientists who talk about the hollow earth and stuff like that too. Okay, and we're not sure if they believe in crystal cities and all that shit, but there have been educated scientists and people who they would call experts, right? And they also believe or have evidence towards these type of things. Okay, you got archaeologist Holly Moyes, if I'm saying her name wrong, right? She had a whole thing with a cave, right, that led to whole cities and shit like that. Okay, when it comes to scientists, you got people like Leonard Euler. Okay, if you know about Euler discs and shit like that. Okay, he based his mathematics off the Earth being hollow. Okay, you got shit like that. You got NASA pictures of the hollow Earth from the North Pole, right? You got the SS7 mission, right? You right now Google SS7 satellite images and Google S9 satellite images. Okay, and if you want to see more images, go to YouTube and go to I think his name is Dr. Will Hawkins. Dr. Will Hawkins, Hollow Earth. Okay, it's an old video, shit like over 10 years old. And he's gonna show you old NASA photos from the 80s and shit. And it shows the same shit, that fucking hole in the North Pole. Okay. So this thing is more well known and more talked about than what people would like to give credit for. And then even with the Greeks, when they talk about Thule and shit like that, that's fucking, in the accounts of that shit, they talk about how the sky, the fucking water, and the fucking land, everything, like, it all collapses into fucking one, right? So as they're getting to this point that they keep going, everything's going kind of like this, okay? And that's the point that they're entering that shit, okay? The hole to fucking, whatever you would call, a lot of people call it different things, right? People call it Asgard, right? There's different names for this place that people have already visited, all right, in history, recorded it, okay, and then now they say, oh, that's some bullshit, and they just fucking hide a bunch of land and shit and just give us what the fuck they want, right, so that they can control what they want to control, okay? So, why does that shit matter? All right. These plasmoid UAPs aren't the aliens, right, for lack of a better term, right, the aliens that fucking the governments are working with, okay? They're working with the force, okay? Reptilian force, Anunnaki force, whatever you want to call it, okay? Because there's good and bad in everything, okay? But there's fucking species that have tried to help and that are trying to help, okay? And that's why when fucking scientists try and use plasmoids for weapons, they refuse, okay? That's why they shoot down nukes and do shit like that, okay? Because now they got to a point where they've tried to communicate with governments, right? And they're attacking them and they're not being cooperative, right, with these other beings, all right? And what's happening is now they're saying, fuck it, we're gonna go public because we're gonna protect the people that y'all are fucking with anyway. You know, why the fuck they're gonna believe in you, right? And there's some people who believe in this shit. And it's like, you know, you've been sold a lot since you were fucking born, you know? The fact that you have to work a 9 to 5, right, for a time that doesn't even exist, right? So time doesn't even exist. Time is just the sun and the moon moving in the sky. That's it, right? And that's what the fuck they sold you time is, right? And then they come up with these new concepts now because you could use a fucking vector and you could fucking quantify some shit. So now everything is like, oh, we're gonna mathematically equate all this shit, and it's like, you know, they fucking mix up what's a math equation and what's a reality, okay? So time being a dimension doesn't even make sense, and that's not even true, okay? So you're giving people your time, which is just energy, okay? And you give it 9 to 5, right? Most people. So you're giving people 8 hours a day of your life, okay? Then a lot of people sleep, whatever, 6 to 8 hours. We'll just say 8, okay? Just to be nice. So that's 16 hours every day already gone, okay? And a lot of people have kids, they have lives, they have families, okay? So that doesn't include travel time, right? So you finally get home, right? So that's another 2 hours, okay? So now we're up to 18 hours, right? So you only got 6 hours left, right? And then you want to chill, right? You got to spend time with your kid, you want to chill, right? So, you know, you don't have a lot of time to do shit. So what is time? You know, they rob you of these things for what? For money. And what is money? It's just an energy. Right? There's no other motherfucking species that runs and operates this way, okay? And a lot of time that you're supposed to spend figuring out who you are, where you come from, to help empower yourself so that you can live out your passions, okay? And educate people through your passions. So whatever you do, you could be a poet, an artist, a fucking musician, you could be a teacher, a healer, whatever the fuck you are, right? You learn who the fuck you are, you learn these knowledges, right? Then you apply it to your fucking art, whatever it is, right? So if it's fucking music, you're gonna be like a revolutionary motherfucking poet, like I am. I haven't dropped nothing yet. It's in the works. It's there. Y'all gonna see it, right? I got other ventures that I'm coming into, y'all. I'm gonna bring a lot of things to the forefront, right, to show people how it's done, right? Because right now I am a beacon to show people how to do things independently, right? Which there's gonna be collaborations, but a lot of this shit had to be me, right? Fighting other people telling me otherwise on what to do, and it's like, no, I have the ultimate belief and faith in what I'm doing, okay? Because I'm bringing my knowledge, right, and I'm applying that to my fucking art and my businesses and my motherfucking passions and shit, okay? So everything's gonna line up for me because I'm doing the work of the motherfucking spirits and my whole fucking team and what I came here to do, okay? And I'm here to help direct people to that point, okay? But I can't walk the walk for a lot of people, all right? So I've had people before tell me like, damn, why don't you do it this way? Why don't you do it that way? Man, my job is to get you from here to here. And, that's about it. What you do from that point is on you. All right, so whatever you visually fucking can create in your fucking mind, do that. That's cool. Live that out. But I know what I'm here to do. All right, and I know what my gifts are. And I know I could provide passion and motivation for people, okay, and I inspire people, all right? I'm very loving, okay? I give off those loving energies, that vibrant motherfucking force, okay? A lot of people trying to feed off that, okay? That's at their own motherfucking cost later on. That's fine, I stop motherfucking caring about certain shit because I already know everything is just choices, right? You have to face your karma or your dharma, okay? So be prepared to face whatever the fuck you gotta face based off all your decisions that you're gonna make, okay? And shit is a lot simpler once you figure out life's a fucking game, okay? Very simple, okay? There's rules, you figure that shit out, right? So, there's people inside the earth, okay? And that's what the Hopis are talking about with the ant people and all that shit, alright? They fucking destroy societies over time, right? So they've used dams to mud flood, all right? They've originally created floods, right? Because the earth at one point, Tiamat, she was one landmass, okay? So when they talk about Lemuria and Atlantis and all that shit, all right, where Great Britain is at and all that shit, all of that was one landmass, all right? It was connected, it was underwater, all right? And then where Australia was connected to Africa, all right? And that was connected to Antarctica, okay? And South America and Antarctica was connected, okay? And because of the Panama Canal, they're not connected to North America. They was connected, okay? And, right, there's oceans, so Lemuria and Atlantis. So everything was one landmass at one point. And then they try and call that shit Pangea. Call it what the fuck y'all want, okay? But it wasn't because of this whole fucking shit that they talking about, all right? It's not because of the growing earth theory either, all right? Even though Tiamat was alive, okay, and Tiamat's still alive, okay, when the Anunnakis came here and Marduk slayed Tiamat, what he's talking about is Levi, okay? So they slayed Levi, okay, sub-zero technology, all right? Keep all the fucking things dormant under there, okay? Control the motherfucking atmosphere, bring the moon, okay? Control the frequencies, control the fucking tides, okay? So now they fucking control not only time, they control frequency, they control atmosphere and environment, okay? They use dams and they use other shit to fucking change the environments and shit, okay? They genetically manipulate motherfucking crops and shit over time and shit like that. We've come into this fucking society that's been cultivated over time and have taken notes from different societies, okay? And the world now is ran a certain way, all right, which has always been ran, okay? Just different societies, it's like different people's takes on the same fucking idea, all right? So, those deserts that y'all walking through, those are giant crystal cities at one fucking point, okay? And those are still motherfucking energy weapons, all right? Good and bad. Take it how it resonates, okay? And under most of those shits are cities. Right? Older cities from back in the day, shit that they would call Tartaria right now. Alright? That's all of that shit. Alright? So, this is a short video. I want to bring y'all a little information and shit. Alright? Put some pieces together. for people. All right, my collective, y'all doing great. All right, I know this was a time of a lot of energy purging and shit like that. I've been purging a lot of energy and shit, and I've hit a very high timeline right now where I'm very confident. Okay, I was very fearful of public speaking. You could see it in my last video. Um, I'm breaking through a lot of fears and shit like that. And, you have to be honest with yourself to know that something is a fear. Because when I say that, and I use that word specifically because it hits your ego. So it's like fear, fear. So it helps me fight, So I use my ego for good. Okay, so y'all need to do that too. Okay, it's a very powerful weapon. Okay, so I seen that I wasn't comfortable speaking in public, okay, especially about certain topics. I didn't know how it was gonna resonate, okay, and I need to not give a fuck. All right, so I'm gonna make a video outside again, and I'm gonna be not fearful, okay, because I did something right, and I know it could be better, all right, but I seen the demons, and I'm gonna slay them, and I think it's important that y'all can see my vulnerabilities too, okay? Because no one's perfect, all right? But I'm showing y'all the resilience that y'all need to have too, okay, in this time. And a lot of y'all are doing amazing, especially my light workers and star seeds, to see where we're at now from, like 2012 till now, really take a look at yourself. And, if you're a little younger too, like, the last 5 years, 10 years, look at yourself. Look at the change. Look at the world around you. Look at how shit's changed. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of the work you've done. Be proud of this shit. Okay? There's a lot more fucking roads to tread. I'm gonna be the guy that's gonna call that shit out, and I'll take all the heat. It's fine. I'll have those uncomfortable motherfucking conversations. It's all good. Until then, yeah. I really appreciate doing this. I really appreciate y'all giving me y'all time, even though time isn't real. It's something that people value, and it should be valued. Okay, so I appreciate y'all giving me y'all value, y'all energy. Okay, I use it wisely. All right, I fucking appreciate it. All right, I'm grateful. I know I'm here to help heal people and to help motivate them. I know I'm here to lead people to the right. All right, I'm here to help y'all remember who your ancestors are. All right. And your ancestors are most likely the ones that they call demon worshippers and all that shit. And then I'll help you remember celestial ancestors. We can do all that shit. All right, just check out the pages, check out my other content, stuff like that. And I want to give a special shout out, okay, to the spirits of the universe, because without them, none of this would be possible. I'd just be a fucking piehead in motherfucking the Bronx, And I've come a long way. And if people don't see that, they don't see the inner work, which is cool. I've done a lot of inner work, and I'm very grateful to have this mindset that I do now. A lot of my confidence comes from the confidence that they give me, okay? So my human mind is limited. I'm still breaking through barriers and fears and shit like that, and they're the ones that push this confidence in me. So if y'all think I'm cocky, confident, any of those things, I don't know what y'all think, which is cool, but I'm just here to tell y'all that that's a result of higher fucking forces giving me that. So, I bring that to y'all so y'all could also be that confident, cocky being, whatever you want to call it. But it's really just self-loving and knowing your worth and knowing who you are and not taking no shit about it. All right. None of y'all punks, none of y'all bitches. Anyway, peace out.